Johnny was bad, he did this, he did that, and okay, so what's going to happen? Well, I've grounded him for half a year now.
So what's one piece of advice that you could give as parenting experts to parents that are struggling with kids of any age? Something that sticks out for you over the years that you could leave us with?
Well, for me, what I want to say and what's my mission and what's my passion is I want parents to become educated. I want them to become knowledgeable. We don't know anything about ages and stages. We don't know what children need and how they're different from us. We don't know what's appropriate at 12 or what's appropriate at 6 because we haven't been taught anything like that. And I think it's very important for parents to go out there and use all the considerable resources that there are available and learn how to be good parents.
Well, I have something very simple and a practical one. I have been with parents so many times that have said things to me like, Johnny was bad, he did this, he did that. And okay, so what's going to happen? Well, I've grounded him for half a year now. And this just isn't going to work. And so my tip is, you can have a punishment, you can have consequences, but think through what can be tolerable for the child to handle. It may well be that staying home 2 days is enough or even more than certain kids can handle. If you start talking a week, a month, a half a year, no phone till you graduate, you know, kids are starting to put the rope out the window and figuring how to leave. I mean, it's desperate. So my tip is to think rationally and clearly and understand what your child can reasonably handle as a consequence.
For me, it's communication. That's what everything that I do is about, communication. And so a parenting tip, I think if I have to pick one, it would probably be to sit down with your family and go over your expectations, your rules and your consequences, your rewards. We focus so much on rules and consequences, but how many of us perform better when we're being rewarded than when we're being scolded or punished? Mm-hmm. So sit down with your children and come up with your family rules. And you know, these can be if you get your homework done by 2 o'clock or whatever, by 4 o'clock, then you can watch TV for a half an hour. You know, it can include as many good things as it does consequential things, but the fact is you need to be able to sit down with as a family and talk about this stuff so everybody's on the same page. And then when you have a situation that you need to discipline your child or correct your child, you're doing it as a response instead of a reaction. So often we react to children's behaviors and then everybody flies off the handle and then nothing gets learned or remembered. So that would be the biggest thing for me, is just talk to each other.
And include your children. Ask their opinion, ask what they think, ask what they think is a particularly good consequence. How would they handle this if it were their child?
Sure.
So include them and give them power and respect.
Absolutely, and you know, sometimes our children will be harder on themselves than we would, you know, so you can ask them what they would want. It's a team. You're a team, and keep that in mind. Every player on the team has a unique position. We don't all play the same position, but we all play together, and that's when we win.
I think my tip's a kind of variation on yours, and it's like dual, I guess, because I think we often get into cycles where we spend a lot of time complaining about our kids' behavior, complaining about our spouse's behavior. And I'd say the tips are, one, try and really focus on what everyone's doing right and try and articulate what everyone's doing right. And also when we have a complaint, instead of leading with the complaint, spend a minute going inside to yourself to try and figure out what's your yearning, what's your desire, what's your hope, what's your wish that's behind the complaint. That sort of like, my complaint is, you know, my kids are spending too much time at their friends' houses. You're always out of the house. Why don't you spend more time at home? It's like, you know what, I'm really missing you. I'd love to spend more time with you, and lead with that.
And I love these ideas. I think all of this advice is brilliant. And for people that, like us, like all of us who are parents and are looking for solutions to some of the small problems and the bigger problems, this is great advice. And for anyone looking for interventions with their family or with their children, thank you for sharing these. These are great. If you have a piece of parenting advice or something that's worked for you, we'd love to hear it. Leave it in the comments section below.